Racing to the 2020 Kentucky Oaks, and this time let's take a look back at that Kentucky Oaks victory. Big victory for She's a Daredevil, and the big story here, the top two finish, sired by Daredevil, who ended up in Turkey this last year. So Swiss Skydiver and the winner, She Dares a Devil, both out of that crop of Daredevil, who was a Champagne Stakes winner, trained by Todd Pletcher, who just didn't train on as a 3-year-old. But let's start with the heavy race favorite, Gamine. She was bet down to 3-5, and she was hammered at the windows early. She opened up at about 2-5 on the board on Friday and ended up going off at 3-5. You know, key factor in this race, they ran her in the Acorn, they ran her in the test stakes, they never really stretched her out. And then another thing is Friday morning they galloped her on the morning of the race, which was a little bit different than some of the other horses, really trying to get that edge off her, trying to get her to relax. And I just don't think she ever really learned how to relax this summer. She's another son of Into Mischief, of course. Authentic Into Mischief also almost had a big weekend with Gamine if she would have won the Kentucky Oaks. So a little bit different training program with Gamine all along. She had a late start to her career, was always working out well, and I think the key to Gamine was whether she was always going to get that 9 furlongs of the Kentucky Oaks. Meanwhile, She's a Daredevil lost to Swiss Skydiver big time back at Oaklawn Park, then went down in class, won the allowance optional claimer, then went into the Indiana Oaks and picked up a nice victory. So she got the confidence building races and the stamina building races to come up to this race, and she really trained well into the last couple of weeks leading into this race. Swiss Skydiver, you know, we questioned it at the time, that 10 furlong race for the Alabama Stakes. Now looking back at it, a 10 furlong Alabama Stakes grade 1 victory is always going to be welcome on a resume, so you're never going to give up that. Alabama Stakes probably historically right on par as the 9 furlong distance and the Kentucky Oaks, but this year with the Kentucky Oaks being in September, not in May, and I think the right decision was made. They won the battle. They won the Alabama Stakes. They got that grade 1 win, but it did tire her out. Anytime a filly runs a 10 furlong race, or even a colt runs a 10 furlong race, even looking back at Tiz the Law, he ran 10 furlongs in the Travers. And a lot of times horses now, when they train up to that Breeders' Cup Classic, they do not want to run in that 10 furlong prep before the 10 furlong distance of the Breeders' Cup Classic. Horses just don't run 10 furlongs anymore that often, and especially the only 3-week turnaround for Swiss Skydiver. And that kind of, I think, may have been the difference maker. Gamine got lapped by She's a Daredevil, got hounded, never really was able to open up a lead like a horse like Authentic was able to get open a couple of times in that Kentucky Derby. So where do we go from here? It looks like the Black-Eyed Susan could be in play for She's a Daredevil. We'll see what's up next for Swiss Skydiver. She may train up to the distaff, and Gamine, is she going to cut back to maybe being a possibility of the Black-Eyed Susans, but most likely maybe she goes to the 7 furlong filly and mare race rather than the distaff, but they could train up to the distaff as well. What are some of your thoughts on the Oaks? Did you think Gamine was a little undertrained? Were there reservations for you with her running in the test stakes and the Acorn Stakes, which were both high-class races, grade 1s, but they weren't necessarily distance races to get her ready for the 9 furlong Kentucky Oaks? What about Swiss Skydiver? Did the Alabama put her over the top? Leave a note below, comment below as we race you up to the 2020 Breeders' Cup. Smash that like button. Remember, hit subscribe, and remember, share this video with all your horse racing friends, leading you up to the 2020 Kentucky Oaks and running you all the way up to the 2020 Breeders' Cup.